In this recording, you're going to learn about account settings. To get to account settings, you click on settings, account settings, and you will land on this page here. And you can see you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections, which will allow you to manage your account settings. So let's look at them one after another. First one, general. Under general, you've got the default document number. So by default, really what we have is to use the invoice number for sales and then supply invoice number for purchases. But you can change that, and then you can choose to use the invoice number for both sales and purchases, or you could use supply invoice number for sales and purchases. So this is the document number that you sent as part of the data that you provide into SaaS VAT reporting. The next one, SAP integration. This concerns customers using the SAP extractor. So if you would like to see your SAP document types, you can. You just need to set this to yes. And then from reports, transaction reports, invoice lines, and you choose your period, and then you click on apply, you will be able to see SAP document types here. Of course, in this instance, we don't have SAP data in the system, so we cannot show that. But essentially, that's what would happen. You will see your SAP document types right here. Moving to the next setting, we've got decimal separator. We have it set as a dot here, and we also have a thousand separator. What you should know about this is that it also relates to the region. So if you are in Europe and then the decimal separator you use as a comma, then SAP VAT reporting will take that on board and then apply the separator accordingly. For the thousand separator, this relates to SaaS. So if you're using only, this relates to SAP. So if you're using the generic template, whether you use a comma there or not, it will not be taken into account. What's likely to happen actually is that if you put a comma as a thousand separator, VAT reporting is going to read that as your separator and it will use that instead. So we recommend that if you're using the generic template, that you do not use a comma as a thousand separator, and that you only use a dot or comma, depending on where you are, as the decimal separator. The next one, allow VAT code lookup in parent company. So a scenario where you will load some data into VAT reporting, and then you have a VAT group. In that VAT group, you have an entity which is a non-lead entity, and then VAT reporting is looking for VAT code for a specific transaction which is missing. So what it could do, it will look up that VAT code in the lead entity as well for you. So that's all for general. Let's move to the next one, file upload checks. These checks relate to quality checks with regards to Intrastat, and we recommend, you can see most of them are yes, we recommend you leave them as they are, so that the data quality is performed on your on the data file that you upload, so that the file that you have as an output for Intrastat is correct when it comes to filing it on the portal. In case you change any of these settings and then some of the quality checks aren't passed, you might find yourself in a situation where at the portal, when you load your document for your submission, that the portal simply rejects it. Next is the file upload settings. So for these settings, some of them are very important, and of course, like with the checks, they're very important in terms of quality. So the first one to look at is to allow double invoice number. So this is a check for duplicates. Of course, we wouldn't want to allow that, so we keep that to no. And if there are any duplicates, then this will be fed under errors and warnings, and then we can review them. The next one is to show errors for double invoice number. Of course, we'd like to see that so we can review it and then make any necessary changes which may be required. And then also check for Intrastat. That we leave that to no, because for Intrastat, it can happen that we have several types of goods and also several lines as well. So that goes in fine, and then we can still do our reconciliation and check that all the numbers tie in fine. So another check that we could have here will be the reverse charge VAT when the VAT code is reversed. So when we have a transaction such as a domestic reverse charge purchase or a purchase of services from outside of the United Kingdom, for example, or maybe outside of Europe for European company, then you can have a reverse charge transaction. And in that instance, you would like to check that the VAT reverse, so the output part of the reverse charge has been applied properly. So we'll leave that to yes here to make sure that that information is captured. So the next setting would be under skip small amounts less than. Here you can see by default, typically when you have your environment, it will be set to 0.01. What happens in this scenario is that when we provide a tax code, you provide a tax code with a VAT rate. And VAT reporting will look into the VAT code, it will pick up the VAT rate, and then it will go into the data file, take the taxable basis that you've provided in your data file, apply the VAT rate that's in the VAT code, and then whatever VAT value it will obtain, it will compare that VAT value against the VAT value you have provided. And if there's a difference, which is even 0.01, it will highlight that as something for you to review. So you can add a tolerance here. Let's say you're happy for anything that's below 0.1 to be accepted. You don't want to necessarily have to see it, review it, and make changes to it. And therefore, you can set your tolerance here. So we can leave it, for example, 0.25, and then anything that's below this will be skipped. One thing to bear in mind here is that this will be true for all the registrations for which you will be doing the implementation. So all the countries, all the currencies as well. So that completes the section for file upload settings. The next one will be clearing information. So if you have cash accounting, you will have to upload a clearing TXT file with showing the payment methods, and then you can choose whichever payment methods applied here by default, and it will be processed automatically. The next section is exchange rates. So under exchange rates, you can have the automatic exchange rate conversion. So if you would like exchange rate to be automatically converted, you will select yes here. The exchange rates that we have ECB rates, we have the Polish and Czech central bank rates. We also have the Swiss National Bank rates as well. So if Czech exchange rates older than X number of days, so we can put this to maybe 2, for example, to account for the weekend, or you could put 4 for bank holidays, whichever you prefer, really, and that will work just fine. And yes, the rest is not necessary. So we'll move on to the final section, which is VAT books. So on the VAT books, some VAT books will require you to provide a document indicator, for example, in Slovakia or maybe in Italy. In particular, receipts are only for Italy, and then all the others, as already mentioned, they may be required in countries such as Slovakia or Poland. So once you've updated all once you've updated all the settings, you can click on submit, and then VAT reporting will update all the settings that you will have chosen.